from the Hungarian crowd and the Slovakian crowd here, and the colours of Sweden for Fredrik Ekblom, who starts in 16th position on the grid. The Volvo showed great speed in free practice and were then comfortably out-qualified by a lot of their rivals. Richard Coleman, it seems that at the moment, their qualifying pace and their race pace and their practice pace are basically one and the same as they continue to develop this brand new car.
Absolutely. It looks like Volvo seem to sort of run one engine power level, where I think the other cars probably for reliability reasons and just to let themselves look after the engines a bit more in practice and then show the pace in qualifying. So Volvo seem to do well in free practice and then up down the order. And despite the fact having good pace, Freddie Ekblom missed the wave in qualifying, which sees him start at the back of the grid. But that car very much out of position and definitely has the pace for top six probably this afternoon.
First drive ever in a Chevrolet for James Thompson. He has been invited back to the championship by René Munich. He's on World Rallycross duty in a Munich motorsport vehicle of another ilk. And so René has invited James Thompson in. Tomo getting to grips with a very different car from the Lada that he was driving over the last couple of seasons, of course. In front of him, Grégoire de Moustier, a man who knows a bit more about the Chevrolet, courtesy of running with Craft Bamboo Racing and Richard Coleman last year, but has converted this year to a Sebastian Loeb Racing Citroën. John Philippi racing for the second season in a Chevrolet. He's run by Campus Racing. They're down to a one-car operation. They, of course, also ran Ugo Valente last season, who produced some spectacular speed and moments. Not necessarily related to good or bad, some good, some bad. Tom Chilton, again, struggling to get his head around a very different car. He's been in Fords and Chevrolets in the championship, and finding that the Citroën does a whole host of very different things in a whole host of very different ways. He said, you make what you think a logical choice, and the car does something completely different from what you're expecting. And this is it's not a new car, but it's a new-to-him car, and his engineer didn't know the car either. So, unlike somebody like Ivan Muller, who's been testing the car all the way through its development stage and whose engineering background, his engineers know the car inside out, Chilton is kind of all at sea with his car still.
Absolutely. You tend to concentrate on the basics in that instance, and therefore the last bit of the lap time doesn't come until everything's working together in harmony, and that's going to take a bit of time. But I think also Tom's been quite ill in the week. He's actually had a fever, and although he seems to be over it, I think that's also played a part slightly this weekend as well.
Nicky Katzberg, second fastest in qualifying. Lada got through into Q3. It was only 40 thousandths of a second slower than Ivan Muller, despite the fact that Katzberg found Jose Maria Lopez here idling about on the exit curve of one of the corners in the single lap shootout. Now that's a position he should never have been in. If there was a technical issue with the car, he should have put off the track anyway. If there wasn't a technical issue with the car, what the hell was he doing dawdling around after he'd done his quick lap, knowing there were still two other drivers to set their time?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's something like a 4-minute in-lap, and I gave him some stick on the commentary yesterday for that, because he really should not put himself in that position, even if he didn't impede the other driver, which I think he probably did a little. Yeah. I think that why put yourself in that position? You know, the team has GPS, they know where all the cars are, and Jose himself should know that there's a car coming up behind him and he needs to make sure he's well out of the way. And I'm very surprised that he didn't get some level of penalty there. I really am. Yeah,
Mehdi Banani was judged to have impeded somebody in Q1, which is the open qualifying session, and was reprimanded. He was slow on his way into the pit lane. And yet in Q3, the single car shootout, no reprimand at all for Lopez for being in the middle of the track. I mean, it wasn't even in the final corner.
Yeah, don't forget that Katzberg missed out on pole position by something like 400ths.
Yes.
So even the slightest distraction from Jose's car being in the wrong place is probably going to be in the order of over that. So, you know, you could very strongly argue that cost Lada a maiden pole in qualifying yesterday.
Well, Thiago Monteiro here, who lines up third on the grid, fourth on the grid, he made the point in Over the Line last night with Alex Legui that when he was in Formula One, they had single car qualifying, and there were really severe penalties for dawdling on your lap, for mimsing about, and even remotely potentially being away. I mean, here at least Katzberg could see round the corner. In Marrakesh, he wouldn't have and would likely have run right into the back of the Sitchin. It doesn't bear thinking about if somebody's having a dawdle on the Nordschleife of the Nürburgring. So it can't be seen to be allowed or to be acceptable. And unfortunately, by not even reprimanding him, means, OK, well, it wasn't a problem. Well, in the end, it wasn't a problem because the driver that was doing the quick lap made sure it wasn't a problem. But he had to avoid a slower car on the bit of exit curb that he would otherwise have used, and there went qualifying. So Gabriele Tarquini lines up in third. We've left that now, I've finished ranting. Second, Mehdi Benani, the outside of the front row of the grid, and Ugo Valenti will start on pole position. Now, really, from the top 4 or 5 cars, it's pick a winner, any winner. Valenti's got a good chance, he starts at the front, he's got good pace. Benani has got good pace in that season. He raced it last year, he knows it well. The extra 20 kilos above previous maximum success ballast might affect him or not, I don't know. Gabriele Tarquini starts third. He's a great starter of front-wheel drive race cars. What about Montero in the Honda and Rob Huff in 6th behind him? Those cars have been demonstrably as quick as anything else around him. And the Volvo, I mean, who knows, could well end up on the podium if they can maintain their race pace. So I think it's wide open, this first race. Whoever wins it is going to have to do a really good job. Here in Slovakia for the opening race, the Slovakian race weekend, second race weekend of the 2016 FIA World Touring Car Championship. Cars running round towards the grid for the last time. Let's hear from Lada's Nicky Katzberg.
Hello everyone, this is the warm-up lap for the first race, WTCC Slovakia ring. Yeah, basically try and keep some temperature in the tires, nothing special, don't have to overstress them. Just following the guys. Yeah, nothing much to do really, just make sure the tires don't lose a lot of temperature, keep the pressures up a little bit. For the rest, just cruising around. Yeah, I must say I'm really looking forward to this race. We've been showing great pace this weekend. Always a bit nervous for the start. This is not one of my stronger points, so I'm gonna try to have a good start this race. But more importantly, the second race, where I'm starting on P2. So strategy for the first race is to basically take it easy because I want to make sure I can start on the first row in the second race, so I don't want to do any damage. Don't want to do any damage in the first race, but obviously I do want to go forward. I think we have the speed to go forward, so I'm definitely going to try. So yeah, I mean, I hope you guys wish me luck. I hope you enjoy the race, and yeah, have fun. This was Nick Katzberg in the warm-up lap. I'm going to tune out now and focus on the start of the race. Ciao.
We wish him good luck, especially with the start, because in Mach 3 yesterday, he was caught out by the lights coming on halfway through the 15-second countdown to the beginning of the start procedure, and fluffed the start, completely stalled. Took about 5 or 6 seconds to restart the car. And unfortunately, then Lada's chances of winning the Mach 3 team time trial went by the by, which then left it in the hands of Honda and Citroën. And we had what will never be surpassed, probably as the closest ever Mach 3 finish. They tied to the 1,000th of a second. There is another way it could be closer, and that's to have all 3 teams tied to the 1,000th. But I'm not going to put much money on that happening in my lifetime or anyone else's.
But it is incredible that 2 separate cars, 2 separate manufacturers, design teams, 3 drivers in each team, 12 kilometres, and they tie. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
It's insane. Insane. Inseparable by any visual or mechanical judgment. So on board with Nicky Katzberg, he'll be looking for a good start. As he says, he and on either side of him, Ivan Muller and Jose Maria Lopez in their dark red Citroens, they will be looking to keep the cars in one piece for race 2, where they start in the top 3. But for now, it's Ugo Valenti who is ready for the start of our opening race. The grid is complete at at the Slovakia ring, the third race of the 2016 FIA World Touring Car Championship. The opening race here in Slovakia. Harder on pole position with Ugo Valente, third with Gabriele Tarquini, second on the grid on the left at the side of your pictures, Mehdi Bennani-Sitchin. Great start from Thiago Monteiro and from Gabriele Tarquini, but Ugo Valente is battling Mehdi Bennani. Bennani's got the lead. Monteiro second. Huff goes through on the inside to third. Valente will go the long way round the outside of Rob Huff. Tries to shut the door, little bump. And Tarquini in fifth, Huff fourth. Valente still not in third. And Huff is on the grass on the inside. Is going to make it extra difficult to get round turn two. Monteiro follows Mehdi Bennani. Looks like everybody just about got through. Huffy does make third place his own for the moment. But Richard Coleman, the two yellow larders behind him, all three yellow larders have shown great pace this weekend. It's by no means certain as the third car goes off. Nicky Katzberg in the background and will rejoin last. By no means certain that Valente and Tarquini will be beaten by anybody here, although Lopez is right behind the two of them, and so is Muller.
Yeah, you have to say that Valente doesn't have a great reputation as a starter, and he certainly didn't set the world light there off pole position. And now he's wheel to wheel with Gabriele,
who is not going to give him much room, even if he is his own teammate. Gabriele had the inside line, and Ugo was in trouble there. Through go Lopez and Muller, and Larder are now down to one car at the front. In fourth place is Tarquini, then Lopez, then Muller, then Fredrik Ekblom in the blue Volvo, the first, Ted Jurk in the first of the Volvos, and he has got a Citroen up behind him. He hasn't, he's got Norbert Mikulich behind him in the Honda. Tarquini with scars already, and we're still only two-thirds away around the first of 11 laps. Bennani leads, but Monteiro, who nearly won in France, almost caught Yvan Muller in the Jose Maria Lopez in the final laps of the main race. Could well be on for victory here, because Bennani locks up Valente with Chilton going around the outside, and behind him de Moustier. They're the other two Sebastian Loeb racing Citroens. But that lock-up from Bennani might well have cost him the lead. We're not seeing it at the moment, but as he comes across the line, Bennani is just in front of Monteiro, and Monteiro is looking to get by. And Victor Shapovalov in Lada is not looking best pleased.
No, and I'm worried for Hugo as well. If you look at Hugo's car next time he's in shot, you'll see that there's a lot of grass in his radiator, and that'll be stopping the cooling to the engine, and it's probably going to give him some problems in the next lap or so. The other interesting thing to watch out for is that Bennani has 80 kilos of ballast this weekend, as do all the other Citroens.
Yep.
And you'll see that they'll probably start to struggle with tyre wear towards the end of the race, but Ivan and Jose Maria have a bit of a ding-dong already at this early stage.
Now, interestingly, Bennani's first lap, 2:10.3. Lopez, 2:12.9. And Muller, 2:13.3. But then they worked their way through more traffic than Bennani did away from the standing start. And, of course, they started further back, so their lap was actually longer than his was, if you follow me. Their run-up lap, at any rate. Gabriele Tarquini in fourth place. Jose Maria Lopez now dropping back a little, and Ted Björk, this is good news for Lopez, is starting to give it. Oh no, and Muller's got by. That's why Lopez has dropped back. So Muller's got by Lopez. Did we see that happen? Was I looking at the timing screen?
I think that was on the exit of turn two. I think it's just in the back of the shot. I think turn two, one of them seemed to kick up a bit of dust, and whether that was Lopez and then Muller just got to run alongside into three, I don't know.
Looking at timing screens always means that something's going to happen to the pictures that the viewers are watching. Well, there you can see the red, white and green trio out front. Bennani, Monteiro up as quickly as that, only covered by half a second, the three of them. Muller now freed up to try and attack Tarquini, because Ted Björk is going to be looking at the back of Jose Maria Lopez, and Muller is reeling Tarquini in fast. Now, he may get by, but don't forget, 11 laps of this abrasive circuit, nearly 6 kilometres long. He's got another 8 to go. Tarquini may well come back at a Citroen later in the race.
Muller's best chance is the next 3 laps or so, and to be honest, if you've got to get past somebody, you don't want it to be Gabriele. He's a wily old fox, and he knows exactly where to put his race car.
Although the one man that Gabriele will allow a clean pass is Yvan Muller. Everybody else, he fights tooth and nail. If Ivan's got a quicker car, Gabrielli does let him get through.
Well,
there's that, you know, there's that history between them of being teammates and rivals for so long.
To ask Hugo Valente, because I think that he's pretty rough with him really on that opening lap, and if I was in the Lada management, I probably wouldn't be too happy with how my drivers behaved on that first lap.
Well, the big problem is when you've got 2 or 3 cars in the same team, they're going to be at pretty much the same speed from a pretty much similar grid position. They're going to end up in the same bit of tarmac in the same corners. So it is difficult. I mean, we've had multi-car ups between teammates several times before. The rule always has to be avoid the yellow car if you're in a yellow car. Don't hit a red car if you're in a red car. Yes, Victor's far from a happy camper at the moment. There's Hugo Valente behind Tom Chilton. They are 9th and 10th at the moment. Tom Chilton in the number 3 Citroen up to 9th place ahead of our opening race poleman Hugo Valente. You've got to think Valente is nursing perhaps a little bit of suspension derangement, but that grille at the front is green from all the freshly mown grass that he's run over, and that's probably not helping. The underbonnet temperatures are fairly severe on these turbocharged cars anyway. If there's little cooling, that is definitely going to impact his speed.
Ted Bjork there in the background just had a little look down the inside of Lopez as well. He's obviously wanting to get on with it, and maybe that's the first sign that the Citroen's starting to struggle with its tyres on the weight.
Ekblom going up the order here in his Volvo, and that was Ekblom, yes, inside de Moustier, wasn't it? Quite sure what the onboard for the Lada was showing out of the final corner. There's your lead trio. Sandro Mariani from Yasport that builds and runs these Castrol Honda factory cars, and the Honda for Norbert Mikulich.
Yeah, Montero quicker that time around than Benani, and Benani's pace should get worse and worse, and Montero should stay more stable, but Rob Huff won't want to stay behind Montero for long, so yeah, I think Thiago may be getting asked to get on with it.
Well, Benani's last lap, 207.8, his best, 207.3, so he's only half a second away from his fastest lap. That's pretty good pace still from the car, but there are 8 laps remaining. You see Gabriele Tarquini already starting to wash out a little wide on the exit of 3 and running into 4, and Ivan Muller closer again. That gives him another car length. He's taking another bite out of what slender advantage Gabriele has kept, and you can see Tarquini Lada sliding a lot more now early in the race than Muller's Citroen is.
Yeah, the Ladas have had quite a loose setup in terms of the balance being more towards oversteer all weekend. So yeah, I think they've got quite a lot of rotation in that Lada, which I think has made the car very quick to drive. But we've seen the Lada drivers made a lot of mistakes, so probably not easy drive.
Well, not a great getaway from the Lada drive. It's not a very quick one from Mehdi Benani either. Watch Thiago Montero, looks in the gap up the middle, finds that is closed. Here comes Montero towards us. That gap is closing, so he goes to plan B and goes down the inside into turn 1. And Rob Huff follows him. This is Thiago's view, and it's a great example of a thinking race driver. This is Tarquini and Valente. That's out of turn 2. They then made contact later on. Benani smoking that unladen rear wheel down into corner 13. Monster on corner. That's the one that's really going to brutalise the tyres on all these front-wheel drive cars.
Yeah, the only thing Benani's really got going for him is that the 2 best places to overtake on this circuit are in the fast section, and the Citroen is actually very, very quick in a straight line. Yep. So although the Honda is clearly the faster car, it's not that easy to get by.
By sort of shades of the turbo diesel Seat Leon versus the BMWs, where the BMWs had great speed into the corners, and the Seat could then hold them up and pick up on the exit and leave them under acceleration as the torque worked for them. Let's hear Benani's team, what they got to say.
Allez, Mehdi, l'écart est constant pour le moment. Continue à pousser, regardez de la même manière. Allez, on lâche rien.
Okay, they're saying the écart est constant, that's you're maintaining an even lead. So he said, essentially, keep doing what you're doing. And that's, you know, they're not getting any closer. Benani can really see that, but it's just a kind of little massage of the ego. You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. They can't get to you. Keep it up.
Yeah, Bernani's just got to stay very, very clean and tidy. He can't afford any mistakes. If he doesn't make a mistake, then he's got half a chance. But there's a long way to go in this race. We've still got 7 laps, and Bernani's tyres are going to get worse and worse.
But then, in the slipstream behind him, so are Thiago's and so are Rob's. Their tyres will be working harder in the corner, especially the quick ones, because the aerodynamics in the turbulent air, the wash from Bernani's car, will be less efficient. So they too will be suffering, possibly not as much, but they too will be suffering. And of course, we talked about the cooling issue with Gabrielli's car, with Valente's car. The other thing with the turbulent airflow is that the cooling systems in the Honda will be working to optimum efficiency, and the hotter the engine gets, as with any car, the less power it will tend to produce once it gets beyond an optimum level. So,
absolutely, but it's still advantage Honda. I'd much rather have those problems than the 80 kilos that poor old Bernani's got to carry right now. But yeah, you're absolutely right about the cooling. However, it's only sort of 25, 26 degrees here. Yeah. And when you consider the World Touring cars sometimes go to circuits where we see temperatures getting up nearly 40, we should be okay.
Well, Montero is right in the toe behind Mehdi Bernani. This is real pressure for a driver like Bernani, though. He's got an ex-Grand Prix driver behind him. He's got a world champion behind him. He knows their cars are at least as fast, and that's all they need. And he is a privateer driver in a privateer team. Admittedly, it's the fastest car, but he is still relatively inexperienced. Thiago was in Formula One when Mehdi was doing the odd Renault Clio race. You know, there's the level difference. He's got to withstand 65, 70 kilometres of high-speed aggression without putting a single foot wrong, and that's the pressure that will be nagging in his mind. And he's got to forget what's in the mirror and look in front.
Absolutely, and you know, he's been in this championship for what, sort of 7 years now or so, and he's really matured, I think, in the last sort of 12 months.
Let's hear what the Citroën team have got to say to Ivan Muller, who currently lies 5th. Okay, he's saying pay attention to Jose. He's picking up time in the other sectors, so Muller is quicker in sector 1. But historically, this weekend, Lopez has been a lot quicker in sector 2, and that appears to be being borne out again in the twisty stuff. He's closing in behind Muller. Of course, now he's been a few car lengths back. He's cooled his brakes and his engine a little, and now he's closing right in, and he is all over the back of Ivan. And Ivan is still stuck by Gabriele Tarquini. He can't get by, despite ostensibly having the quickest car in the business, because he set pole position yesterday.
Yeah, though I'm surprised at Gabriele's race pace.
Gabriele's fastest lap, 2:07.47. That is the 5th quickest lap. Ivan was only 7 thousandths of a second quicker. Gabriele on his very best lap of the race. Last time round, Gabriele 2:06.1, Ivan 2:06.2.
It looks like Gabriele is struggling with his race pace, and he's got a much lighter car than the Citroëns, but yeah, Lada's still struggling. And Ivan's well in the toe now, coming down into turn 1.
Tarquini is going to make him go the long way round. And I tell you what, if Lopez sees Ivan get through easily, he's not to expect that that will be the case for him. The door will be shut very differently on Lopez than it will on Muller. And Gabriele again. This is line and length, isn't it? This is hostile bowling, and he's just got to defend his wicket. That's all he can do. He's not going to catch the lead trio, but 4th is better than the back of the queue, whereas Norby 8th. And if one car gets through, they're all going straight by Tarquini.
Unlike the battle for the lead, this is where the car behind, i.e. Ivan, has the straight line speed advantage. So if he can get a bit of a run on Gabriele, he's got half a chance. It's going to be a much easier task than I would say Montero has of getting past Bernani at this stage of the race.
The problem in Ivan's mind, of course, always has to be miscue, and Lopez has gone by, and Lopez already has a points lead over him. You know, those are all the dynamics. From the outside, okay, they're just following each other around. Not even remotely, but Lopez smokes it down the inside, and that's exactly what the drama is going to be for Ivan Muller. If Lopez gets inside him and they have a Tarquini-Valente moment, then suddenly Ivan's off in the weeds with damage, and he wants to start the main race on pole. He's going to have to let Lopez go rather than risk an issue, because Lopez forced the issue there. There was no question. I'm down the inside, I'm coming through. You're going to have to open the steering, and in the end, Ivan had to let him go. Bernani still leading here, though, in Sebastian Loeb's Citroën. On board with Rob flying in third place. Thiago Montero in second. Mehdi Benani leading for Sebastian Loeb. Fortune for Morocco. And that last will be as important to him as any other aspect of that trio.
Although this race is 1 lap shorter than the second race, Benani's tyres are going to start to get very, very tired now. 4 laps to go, but I think you'll see his pace start to drop off a little bit more very, very soon. He's already lapping a second slower than he was earlier in the race. And Thiago's still right with him. It's just that straight line speed advantage Benani has that's preventing him from being part, I think. And I have to say, Rob Huff's being very, very team game.
Well, let's see what the Honda team have to say. Thiago in second.
Feel very fast on the straight line on acceleration. Pushing.
Yeah, Thiago reflecting exactly what you're saying, Richard, that Benani is still very fast in the straight line. And there are 3 good long straights here. And that makes life very difficult for the Honda behind.
Without Mehdi making a mistake, it's very, very difficult for Thiago. And the infield is just very, very difficult to pass. All the corners lead into each other, unless you do something like a little bit lungy, like Lopez did on Ivan a lap or so ago.
This is Norby going by Ted Björk, and that's a view also of Lopez inside Muller. So we were watching from the outside, Lopez putting himself very deep down the inside of Muller, and at the same time Norby went by Ted Björk. So that was a dual pass. Norby moved up to 7th as Lopez moved up to 5th. Benani, Montero, Huff in the Sebastian Loeb Racing Garage. They're not counting their chickens yet. You've got to say, so far, Mehdi's been inch perfect. He's done at least as good a job in defence as Gabriele Tarquini has done so far in 4th place in the Lada.
Yeah, it's entering the crucial phase for Benani now. As the tyres get older, it'll be very, very difficult for him not to make a mistake, or more difficult. So this is the critical phase of the race for him.
And similarly, behind in 4th place, you saw the yellow Lada of Tarquini. You could barely see Lopez Citroen behind because it's all over the back of him.
Yeah, and further down the order off shot, Mikulits is really back at the Muller now. He's 3 tenths behind.
Yeah, so Norby and Ivan have got history in the final corner here. Lap 9 of 11 are starting now. This is the penultimate to go. And still, Norbert Mikulis, Mehdi Benani holds the lead. Gabriele Tarquini, little touch there from Jose Maria Lopez. Lopez using the fender, as they say in NASCAR racing. Gabriele, classic rule of front-wheel drive racing, keep your right foot buried and allow the car to pull itself out of that tank slapper. And luckily, Lopez didn't apply too much pressure, but he is eager to get by.
Gabriele very defensive, and this could be good news for Ivan, because while they're squabbling, he could provide Ivan an opportunity to get ahead of his teammate again.
Be good news for Norby as well, because if they get bottled up further behind Tarquini, Norby has dropped Ted Björk a couple of car lengths back, so Norby now can be the loose cannon and have a go at Muller, as Muller's trying to attack Lopez, stroke defend Norby at the same time. It's an invidious position to be in when you're trying to do both. Oh, and through goes Montero. Lunged at Mehdi Benani, and jubilation on the Asport pit wall. We caught the very end of that move. Thiago has got the lead, and that is Benani done for, because Huff now will be all over the back of him. He wants an Astral Honda 1-2, and here's the way it worked. Exactly the same place. They dive to the inside in corner 8, and through he goes.
And that was the only chance for Thiago, because the faster sections just didn't have the straight line speed, even in the slipstream of Mehdi. But yeah, Benani will be well awake to that trick now, so it's going to be even harder for Rob to get past.
Yep.
But we've still got 3 laps to go, and yeah, Benani's tyres must be getting very tired now with that 80 kilos that he's having to carry around.
It's where we saw Lopez pass Muller, isn't it? It's where we saw Norby pass Ted Björk in the same lap. So it is one of the overtaking positions. Now Montero's going to scuttle away. Benani is going to desperately try and hold off Rob Huff. He always says, doesn't he, Mehdi, that finishing on the podium in this kind of a field is like a win for him. You know, when he did actually win, though, that was just quite astonishing display of emotion. Behind, still, Gabriele Tarquini holding off the Citroens of Jose Maria Lopez and Ivan Muller.
Lopez just had to get slightly out of the throttle there.
Yep. He caught right up underneath Gabriele under braking. And there's Franz Fischer. Problems at the right rear of the car. Looked like a brake fire there briefly. Little fast fire as he went off.
Yeah, it might be an oil line from the front of the car just catching exhaust, and that's what got some oil.
Oh, and that's exactly what they don't need next week. They will be racing in Hungary. They do not want their car to burn out in a gravel trap here. And Franz Fischer will be desperately trying to pull on fire extinguishers. Whether they'll work under the floor, I can't imagine. We saw the rescue crews on the way. We might end up with a red flag here. Fischer bails out. And this is horrifying news for his team boss, Zoltan Zengo. They've only got one car of their two running at the moment, and that is now well ablaze.
Yeah, at least he's out safely, but yes, we need some fire marshals.
Well, they are there over the barriers, but they're in the gravel trap on the final corner. We might end up with the race being run a lap short. This is lap 10 of 11. Tarquini in fourth, ahead of Lopez, Muller, Michelitz. Montero leads from Bernani and Huff. Montero a second ahead of Bernani at the line. There's the Sebastian Loeb Racing Garage, looking fairly sanguine about everything. That's the factory Citroen garage. Well, any points you pick up in the opening race when you've qualified at the front for the main race are a Brucey bonus. And they have kept their cars clean and in one piece.
Yeah, now Thiago's away. He's just pulled, yeah, no, just a second, well over a second on Mehdi on that one lap. But yeah, Huff can't seem to quite get on the back of him at the moment.
Again, Huffy's been third in the queue, so maybe his temperatures and pressures are starting to worry him a little. Last lap for Tarquini. One lunge from Lopez. Going to go around the outside into turn two. Okay, everybody, hold your breath, because this could get very bouncy. Tarquini with the line. Lopez can't hold on.
If that was Muller, he would have let him go.
Yes, I agree. I agree entirely. Now, can Lopez catch him? No, he can't catch him by surprise down into three. And look around the outside, Norby. No, not at the garage. There's Norby. Lights it up around the outside of Muller. He's got some grip in reserve, thinks he can get Muller and Lopez and Muller are side by side, and Norby is going to get Muller and Lopez. Holy cow, how is he doing that? That is stunning driving from Michelitz. He's invented passes that we've never seen here. Nearly got Lopez as well. Muller comes back at him now. Muller will be burning with the embarrassment of being caught by Michelitz like that, and Ted Björk is right behind them watching the action.
Just got mugged, didn't he? Completely mugged. I don't know where Michelitz found the grip. He just suddenly got a bit fed up of being behind these three chaps and threw it down the outside.
I wonder if Norby has been cleaning that line for 2 or 3 laps while we've not noticed. If he has, then kudos. If he hasn't, then even more kudos to him. And that has sort of blown the pressure relief valve for Tarquini, because suddenly Muller and Lopez go, what? Never mind Tarquini, let's just try and hold on to what we've got. And that allows Tarquini to scuttle away, and he should finish here in 4th place. So Montero is going to head to victory in the opening race here. Here he comes through 13, out of 14, the checkered flag awaits. Victory for Thiago Montero, 2nd place for Mehdi Bernani, and 3rd for Rob Huff. And Gabriele Tarquini will not be caught. 4th place for him, 5th position for the points leader, Jose Maria Lopez, 6th, Norbo Michelitz, 7th, Ivan Muller, and 8th place for Ted Björk, Tom Chilton 9th, Fredrik Ekblom in 10th place. Both Volvos in the points in 8th and 10th. Is that Tom's first points finish? Can't remember.
So.
I think it is, though. Nicky Katzberg 11th, Hugo Valente in 12th for the Lada team. Ahead of Gregoire de Moustier, John Philippi, Tom Coronel and James Thompson. Coronel all at 6s and 7s this weekend. Tomo, first time ever in the Chevrolet, couldn't get past Tom Coronel. It took most of the race for Thiago Montero to get past Mehdi Bernani. So the opening race, not won by Hugo Valente's Lada. He was the pole man, but he ended up rather further down in 12th position. It was Thiago Monteiro who was victorious. Mehdi Benani second, ahead of Rob Huff, who completes the podium. Tarquini, Lopez and Michelis, Muller, Björk, Chilton and Ekblom, your top